Welcome back once again to the You Should Get a License podcast, your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on what I feel is the most underrated career opportunity today. This is Rod Powell checking in with you. I'm an insurance industry professional in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, specializing in employee benefits with mid-large size companies and medical brokers, and have a very, very, very special guest that we're going to be speaking with today. This gentleman has some phenomenal content on his own platforms, on his own channels. And really, it was just 5 years ago that, he was broke, had big goals, but, really wasn't sure how he was going to achieve them. And he had a 7-year career in the banking industry, didn't really have a backup plan, kind of fumbled and fell and found his way into the insurance industry. And really with no industry background, no experience, he just decided to get licensed in property and casualty. He got with a large insurance carrier and started to build from scratch, gave 1,000% of his focus, and over the course of 5 years, built a $5 million insurance agency and is barely scratching the surface on his capabilities. He has his own channel, so we'll talk about that, where he discusses entrepreneurship, self-development, and the insurance industry, and is the co-host of the Barbells and Briefcases podcast, where you can find anywhere you're listening to, your podcast and getting your upliftment and the information that gives you value. So I am so happy, so elated to welcome all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Nicholas Sakha. Nicholas, how are you doing today?
Rod, what's up, man? What a beautiful introduction, man. I'm humbled to be here.
Hey, thank you so much. Look, we are honored to have you. I've seen your content. I've seen the value that you're offering to young professionals and speaking about your experiences, being very, very transparent about it. And that's really what this platform is all about. Where I want to start really is I want to just give an idea of where you specialize. One of the things about, the insurance industry is, when you work in this industry and you say, hey, I work in the insurance industry, people make all kinds of assumptions. They really don't know. They could be thinking anything. Oh, well, insurance. Oh, well, can you do my auto? Oh, can you do my life? Could it be benefits? Could it be marine? Could it be IT and insurance? It could be could you be a carrier rep? It could be all different kinds of things. So can you talk a little bit about your specialty, where you focus your business in this industry that we work in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we specialize in property and casualty. Mainly personal home lines, investment properties and renters insurance. We did really focus on life insurance when it was a priority. I represent Allstate. So in my first couple of years, we did have life insurance goals and things that we did need to hit in order to reach our bonus. But right now, that's Allstate has sold their life insurance, department. And so we don't have as much of a life goal. We crushed it in life though. We were top 2 in the state for like several years. And we weren't number 1, but we were top 2. And but we mainly focus on the personal lines. Commercial lines, not so much. Allstate unfortunately doesn't have an appetite for it, but we just quadrupled down on the personal lines. Awesome. And you're right. There are so many different areas of the insurance industry. There's all sorts. The longer you're in this industry, it's like, oh wow, I'm it's so funny that you say that. I actually recently came to a realization that I need to change my branding on my YouTube channel to not just insurance, but I want to be known as the P&C guy. So that's something I'm gonna change effective moving forward because insurance is so broad. There are so many other areas, and I'm not versed in the other areas, so I need to correct that moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, thank you for providing that. And you mentioned, and yeah, to that point, you are on the P&C side, which I know very little about. We talked about this just before we started recording. P&C side, which I know very little about. I'm on the employee benefit side, which you don't spend a lot of time in. So it's like, you could, two people can have very specific specializations in this business and build, really phenomenal careers in either one of those specialties. And that's part of what's so dynamic about it. Now, you spoke about being an Allstate agent and, having that experience, you're an agency owner, correct?
Correct.
And you started that agency from scratch. So how many offices do you have now? I know that you started one office. Did you open a second office as well?
Yeah, in 2.5 years, we bought a small book for a second office, and then fast forward, we just hit our 5-year mark, and another existing agent that was, I guess, retiring, wanted to get out of the business, and he had a $5 million book. So we grew roughly to 5 million organically, and then I've just purchased a $5 million book, which is my third office. And so now that puts us at a $10 million book, and we're still just getting started, man. I'm looking to keep on, as the industry changes, there's so many people looking to sell their books of businesses, and people that are just ready to retire, or they're just not, aligned with the company anymore. And so they're ready to get out. I don't think I'm going to stop here, man. I was telling my team that we might keep on keeping on.
Right. No, look, congratulations, on the success. And what I found, just to be most impressed by is your length of time in this industry. So, 5 years you've accomplished from the jump, scratch, now a $10 million, and I said 5 million in the introduction, but now a $10 million book of business. How does that feel coming from zero to where you are now in such a short period of time?
I'm not surprised. You know what? It's so crazy. Now, for those of you guys watching on YouTube, those listening on the podcast, you might not be able to see it, but I went to this seminar not that long, maybe 6 years ago, and it was this little piece of paper that you were able to write on and then slip into this laminated sheet right here. Mm-hmm. And it had the words on it. I'm so fired up and grateful now that ... And you're supposed to put, a date. And I put 5 years from that date. And so I put that within 5 years, basically August 2021, that I'd have a $5 million book. And fast forward, a little bit longer than 5 years, where we doubled that. And so it feels good, man. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, because I just have big whys, big reasons why. I got them laminated. I've got that hung up right here, where I at all of my offices, I used to put these goals and little visions and things that I have wanted, even in my shower. I've laminated and put it in my shower, so I would see this thing every single day. And with the help of, with the favor of God, with the right mentors, and just putting in the work. I'm just a very driven person. I'm not the smartest dude, man. I'm actually pretty slow. But I'm just driven, man. I will outwork. And so I'm not surprised. It feels good. And, I'm a firm believer in just writing things down and going to work.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That right there is just a nugget, writing down your goals, looking at them every single day. It sounds like you probably journal as well. I know that's something that's, been very important, in my own journey. So, man, those are the types of practices that really separate those that do, from those, that don't, and kind of hope and wish about it. Here's what I want to do. Since we talked about goals, we talked about where you are at this point. You're new to the insurance industry, not new to business. I want to go, all the way back, not even to the start of your business career, but I want to go all the way back to, let's say, a 9-10-year-old, Nicholas Sakha, and tell me, because I know it wasn't getting into insurance. What was the dream, when you were growing up? What did you aspire to be at a young age?
At a young age, man, I was a huge gamer. I was a very big gamer. I loved video games. I loved wrestling. I was, Stone Cold Rock era.
Yes.
And I was a big gamer. I always honestly thought I was going to be involved with video games somehow, and that didn't happen. I bought this game called Skyrim one time, and this game was like an RPG. And I'll never forget. I like telling this story because in RPGs, those games where it's like you can go in so many different directions and you build your character, and there's all these different there's a main journey and there's all these little side journeys that happen. It's kind of like real life.
Like the Final Fantasy and
yeah. And I'm not a big RPG guy, just this game Skyrim was dope. Like you could be like, you could create certain skills and build on those skills, and you can, wield swords and learn magic and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, man.
And I bought this game, and I ended up putting at least maybe 3.5, 4 hours into building my character and then starting the journey. And then the next day, and I woke up tired as heck I woke up tired as heck, man. I was still in my banking and college years. I woke up super tired and was very unproductive the next day in sales. And then the next day, I probably put another 6 hours into the game. And then the third day, I took the game back to GameStop, and I returned it for a credit because I was like, man, I got a real life character to build.
Right.
I can't do this. So I had to sell the game. And that's I would say early motivations, things that really drove me early on was just seeing my parents, they provided the bare necessities, just the clothes on our back, the food on the table, the roof over our head. And there were a lot of kids, so we all didn't get everything that we wanted. You know what I mean? Like we just got the bare necessities. And, that kind of affected me because when like school would start, I would see like kids with like, nice clothes and, and people fresh and people just had all these different things. When we would go to like the movie theaters with me and my friends, I would have to barely scrounge up. I don't even know if that's a word. I barely round up maybe $5-6 for my mom's
scrounging
purse.
You can use scrounging.
Is that a word? Yeah. And my friends would get like $20, and so little things like that just really like stacked up on me. When I needed a haircut, my mom would say like, you just got one. And I was like, Mom, that was like 2 months ago. Like I need a haircut now. Like, and so just not happy. So seeing things like that drove me, and then seeing my mom pay for a lot of different things with a credit card. I knew the difference between her credit cards and her paying with cash. I knew every time I saw a card. This is before debit cards are really like, popping like that. And I knew every time I saw her pay with a card, I was like, that's not money she has. And I would always hear her kind of complain about that stuff. And so that really weighed on me. And it just really drove me, man. And so as soon as I was able to start working, I worked every chance I could get. I don't have the entrepreneurial, like, I sold baseball cards or I wasn't selling candy at school. Like, no, but as soon as I was able to, I got a job at the cafeteria. I, worked on the neighbor's yard whenever I could. I worked for free at my cousin's pizza shop, door hanging, little advertisements. And so just any opportunity I could get to be productive and to make, even if it was $5, I would. And that just kind of stacked up. And I would say that that's kind of what kid I was. But I was a huge gamer, and I wasn't athletic. All my friends, they were athletic. They were all on the basketball team. Me, I just went to the intramurals, so and when they picked the team, I already knew I wasn't getting picked up. So I just shook hands with everybody. I'm like, all right, fellas, well, time to go get a job. Time to go get a job. You guys have fun, kill it this season. Yeah. I'm gonna go get a job.
No, I feel you. So basically with the game, let me say, I don't know if you remember this was back in the 80s. So, there was a film called The Wiz, mm-hmm. The Wizard with Fred Savage. And it was this is when Super Nintendo was new. Okay, this is way back. This is when Super Nintendo was new. And the competition, and it was about this kid who was going with his brother to try to get to this national competition for Nintendo to play Super Mario Brothers 3 was the game, right? And, now I know gaming is like a, just $1 billion industry. You got teams and all that. But, I remember, that time And I think I'm telling my age a little bit, by talking about this movie that came out in the 80s. But I remember that time, seeing that, I was like, man, that'd be cool to be able to game professionally. Because eventually at the end of the movie, he got there, and obviously it was him, and then he had like an antagonist who was like another kid who was really good at the game, but kind of like a bully, and he ended up beating him, and he won and got some money. But did you see yourself, like when you were gaming and you were playing, did you see yourself like going to competitions and really, making that a career? Or was that just something that that was just a lot of time that you were like, hey man, I need to do something different?
The only game that the games that I loved competitive, like I think when things started shifting to online, I've always been pretty competitive. And so when things shifted to online, I really got into that. And I was less about story mode, less about like beating a game, and more about let's play. Let's just go straight into online. Let's go compete.
Yeah.
So I've always been competitive. And one of the games, two of the games that I was very competitive with, believe it or not, fun fact is there was a game called NFL Street 2.
Okay.
And I was number one in the world at that for like
What?
for 2 months. For 2 months, I was number one in the world at that. But it was short-lived, it was short-lived. But the reason I say I was number one is because I'll never forget, that was on Xbox, and I'll never forget, I went on to PS2's online waiting room or a lobby room or whatever, and I saw the number one dude on PlayStation in the lobby, and I was on my friend's account that had some like bad record, so he looked like a scrub on PS2. And so I actually invited number one into a game, and he accepted, and I beat him. And
Wow.
so when I beat him, one, he was probably upset because he lost to some guy with like a 5-11 record.
Right.
And,
like, how does this happen?
And two, I claimed the crown at that point. I was like, I'm the best, I'm the best ever. And
Nice.
but I think that was the competing part is what was more important to me. And because I wasn't really good at sports, now I kind of look at that as the same way I'm running my agency,
Right.
And one of my mentors told me this the other week, and it stuck with me, is it's not about being number one. For us, it wasn't about being number one. It was about how much variance there would be between number one and two. And that stuck with me. And that's something I'm like kind of preaching to my team right now, because we're approaching, we're in our market, there's like 3 different states right now. Yeah. And we're starting to become number one a little bit more often right now. And so I'm kind of feeding that into them as well. Like, hey guys, it's not about being number one. We're supposed to be number one. Let's kind of run up the score, if that makes sense. Let's dominate. And
let's dominate it. That's right.
Dominate.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like vanilla ice cream and chocolate. Have you seen that stat about ice cream and how far ahead like vanilla ice cream is over like chocolate and strawberry? Mm-mm. It's like the number 1, 2, and 3 ice creams, like vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry, right? But like vanilla is like 100 times higher than chocolate, for chocolate to be number 2. It's a cool stat I've read about not too long ago, and I'm like, that's a great point. It's like, you can be number 1, but even at number 1, you're still competing to like grow that distance, right? And really just be a master, of your craft. And we put up quotes, on our Instagram platform at YSGAL License. One of the quotes we put up today was, it's the will, not the skill. It's the will, not the skill, because you got to have that fight. You got to have that why. And yeah, man, I mean, and your success is kind of a testament to it. So, all right. So coming out of school, you're playing sports, you got the gaming thing going, and what got you into the banking industry? So how'd that come about?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't playing sports. I was just,
you're just, okay. Your friends were on a team. You like, okay.
Yeah. I went just to socialize, like, but I wasn't very good at sports, so, but what got me into banking was, so one of my best friends, he's the reason why he's the reason why I got into insurance, and I shout him out all the time. He is somebody that our first job was Subway. And so I get this job at Subway. I'm working with him, and our sisters are friends, so kind of family friends. And then he leaves Subway and gets a job at a bank. And I'm still at the Subway. And so he would come by the Subway, still get some sandwiches every once in a while. And I would serve him, and he would show me like the leaderboards. He's like, man, look at this. I'm number one, and he's, always like kind of would come and flaunt it a little bit. And he would, kind of brag about how much money he was making being in this commission-based job. Well, not really commission, but, in banking, it's the opportunity to make commissions. And so I heard about group interviews, not group interviews. It was like same day interviews going on for that same bank once upon a time. And so I went, and then I got a job at the same bank as him. Right. And then 5 years later, I think maybe 6 years later, he leaves the bank, and he kind of fumbles around a little bit, and he gets, and he decides to open up an Allstate office. And so here I am about to get my business degree. And as soon as I got my business degree, it was, for me, that was the only thing really holding me back from being an employee. I knew I wanted to run a business. I just didn't know what. And so I quit banking. I fumbled around, went into business with some other guy, didn't really quite work out, lost the remainder of my savings, had my 401k left and it happened to be roughly like 25,000. And after cashing that out, after the taxes, the penalties, fees, and all that stuff, I had about 22,000 of it left, which I used to start my Allstate office, which fortunately at the time, it only costed 25. It didn't cost, you just needed to show proof of funds of 25,000 back at that time. But that's kind of how the whole thing happened.
Yeah, kind of blossomed. So you guys, we're friends, working together. You guys were at the Subway. He went to the bank. He comes in. He's showing you what he's doing. You're like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and really explore this too. Mm-hmm. He ends up leaving the bank. He goes into the insurance industry, and you're like, hey, maybe that's an avenue as well. And it just so happens that you end up having just enough to kind of launch that agency.
And he actually kind of sold me on it. He sold me on it because he had asked me, it was his sister's birthday, and they wanted to celebrate it at Topgolf. And I remember I quit working with that other business, in between quitting the bank and opening my agency. And he asked me if I wanted to go to Topgolf. And in my mind, I was calculating Topgolf. I'm like, ooh, that's probably gonna be a smooth like 60 or 80 bucks. I can't afford that. So I had to tell him, like, hey bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just broke right now. Like I can't go, like my future looks pretty uncertain. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. And so I can't make it. And he just said, don't worry about it. I got you. I was like, you sure, man? Because I don't feel right somebody paying for me. So I go and we're having a beer, and he's just like, you should open up an Allstate. And I'm like, are you sure? Like I've never managed people. Like I've been around people. I've been in indirect influence of people. Like when I was a small business banker, I had to have influence amongst like all the different branches, but I was never directly managing people. And I was like, so I don't have insurance experience. I don't have management experience, and I've never run a business. Like, are you sure I can do this? You know what I mean? And he's like, you can do this. Like, I know you can. And I don't know if he was just trying to get his little $10,000 referral bonus, right? or if he really believed I had what it takes. But he was a phenomenal leader, and he helped me in those first 5 years. And now he's gone on to go do epic things. He's opening up a bunch of Subways now. Things nice. Go full circle, right?
See that? I was gonna say, man, isn't that something? Right, full circle.
And that's probably where the buck stops. I'm not gonna follow him in that venture. Right. I don't want to deal with food, man. So
yeah, but what a story, though. What a story. And I think it speaks to a couple of different things. One, it speaks to, just kind of accomplishing whatever you decide to put your mind to, but it's also, that sky is really the limit, in this business, and in life, wherever you want to invest that energy. And it also speaks to the fact that, look, you're a product of the people who you hang around, and who you're spending time with, so that's one of the things that, I think is super important, is to be around people that can inspire you, be around people that can motivate you. And look, it's good to have those friends that push you, because there's always a soft competition, between friends. Say, hey man, okay, I see, steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. We gotta keep pushing each other. So let's go back to when you decided to first open that agency. So he convinced you. He said, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. What was it like that first month having the agency? Here I am.
Yeah, this is where I gave them, a lot of credit. This is where I give them by them, I'm referring to him and to my other buddy, that, because it was it was two people that came from banking, but the only difference is they actually had management experience. I didn't. And so Will had 2 years of experience as an agency owner, and Brian had about 1. And I'm telling you, I called them just about like maybe every day, if not every other day. And that's why I like that guidance, that mentorship, getting resourceful. I know some people's excuses are that, nobody wants to help me. Bull crap. Like you will find, if you go searching, there are people like you out there. There are people like me on YouTube. There are dozens of people. There is the right friendships and mentorships. And I think as long as you're not weird about it,
Right.
and you go in with the right mentality, i.e., if you just show love to some of these people before going in for an ask, I think that you can get the support of just about anybody. And so that's what I would attribute that very first month to. Was I remember being disappointed too. I remember I reached out to my entire phone book, everyone in my cell phone, everyone on my Facebook, everyone on my Instagram, and I asked everybody from every walk of life to get an insurance quote with me, and half the people ignored me, right? Half the people just read my message. Another 25%, said, yeah, for sure you can quote me, and then just never got me all the information. And then about 1/4 of everyone I reached out to gave me an opportunity to quote them. And then I got frustrated that nobody wanted to sign up right then and there. And so my first month is man, we barely reached our minimum expectation. And I remember thinking to myself, what the heck? And I called my buddy and I'm like, dude, why don't these people sign up? I'm getting them something better. And he's like, bro, not everyone's going to sign up on your watch. You just need to be patient, man. They're sometimes you can plant a seed right now and they might not actually sign up or get back to you for a month or 2 months. And so I remember that first month being like that. And I started out with 2 employees, one of which I had to let go within the first 2 weeks. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do, because I never
crash course.
Yeah, I never handled terminations when I was in banking. I didn't handle firing people. And so this was hard. She was a little bit older. And I just knew right off the bat, I'm like, she's not a good fit. I just know that this just isn't going to work out. I brought her in because I had this requirement of having 2 staff. And so, yeah, that was the first month.
Yeah, man. Those are some really intense lessons, just to kind of take on. One, look, you're leveraging your mentorship, and the resources that you have. I think it's a great point to say, look, if you want something, you have to go find it. Knowledge seeks no man, right? So if you want to learn something, if you want to get good at it, I remember one of my mentors told me, you can get mad or you can get better. It's going to be one of the two, but you're not going to be able to do both at the same time. So being able to really find and leverage resources, and then tough conversations, that leadership development, man. So when you think about like where you are now, you think about the beginning. What do you feel like were some of the early challenges and difficulties that you had, starting from scratch, not having experience in the industry, that you were able to really, kind of overcome, throughout your journey? Let's give me like
Yeah.
top two.
Yeah. So I know that I'm speaking to some people. So when I say, I like to joke and say like I'm not the smartest dude, and I'm not the sharpest tool, and what I mean by that is this: what might take you, Rod, somebody telling you one time, like, hey, Rod, this is how it's done. You might understand it like right then and there. But for me, it's going to take me a lot of repetition for that to like stick. And so, how I kind of compartmentalized my day was everything that was more like administrative, I saved for after hours. But everything that was the most important thing, like I firmly believe that if you're starting a business, sales is the most important thing. Like everything else will figure itself
That's
out.
right. That's right.
Everything else will figure itself out, but that's the most important thing in the beginning. Like just sell, master the game of sales, like figure out what you need to do. Because, if you're not selling enough, you're not going to have enough coming in. And if you're not having enough coming in, now you're, all that time you were wasting on stuff that had low, low ROI, like low
Right.
returns, like you had the whole ingredients wrong. And so one of the things that really helped me early on was if I didn't understand something, I saved it until like after 5:30, or I think our hours were 9 to 6 back then. I saved it for after 6, and I would be the last one to leave the office, like over and over and over again. Everything that was very tedious and time consuming, I would save for the end of the day, but I would focus on the most important things during the hours of 9 to 6. And so that's what helps me, man. But I
got the time, man. You got time management in there. Like I'm just listening to you speak, man. And like I said, it's really powerful, because I don't even know if you're realizing like all of the lessons that you're giving just in talking, right? Like just in saying what your journey has been. You're putting the extra hours in, right? Hey, you're the first one in, the last one to leave. We used to call that FILO, first in, last out. I don't know if you use that same term, right? Saying, hey, look, if there's something I don't know and I want to learn it, I got to stay a little bit later. Maybe I got to do it. I got to put in some extra hours. I have to know, I understand that, look, sales is going to drive all the momentum that I need. I have to, stay focused on that. Sales is going to take care of everything else. If you focused on making sure that you got business coming in, you can work out all the other detailed stuff, right?
absolutely.
And sometimes people, when they jump into this business, or maybe something that keeps them from entering the businesses, they get analysis paralysis, right? There's like, I got to figure out how everything works first before I get started, right? It's like, no, you got to get started, and you're going to figure it out, as you go. And like I said, just listening to you, man. And look, I don't know, unless you're a, genius. I think most people, have to kind of put that time in to understand and to do it over and over and over again, that repetitive action, just to keep learning and retaining information. So like I said, I didn't want to interject too much, but Nicholas, I'm listening, man. I'm like, yo, he's giving a class right now. So whoever's listening, he's giving a course like right now, and how to really stay focused and really continue to build and develop yourself. At this stage in the game, I know that you're still driven, very ambitious, got a lot of years ahead of you. I mean, how do you stay motivated now? Like, what do you do to continue to motivate yourself?
Well, I just find different whys. And so right now I'm trying to make it less about me. Like I tell my team all the time right now that in my mind, my agency's already built. And what I mean by that is that when I first started, of course, I just wanted to get like rich, man. Like I think like we all wanted to, I just wanted to get rich. And and now that, like crazy things, man, like, dude, I was on the beanie cheese and rice burrito and hot and spicy diet, and ordering water cups to save the 250.
That's it.
Every single time. And I did that for like a decade. And so now that now that I'm able to, like, travel places and eat, at nicer restaurants and take care of my family whenever we're out eating out. And I really don't have to look at bills and things like that. Now that, like, I've gotten to experience some of those things. Now, my main priority is, how do I get my team? How do I help them? Right. Like, I have, and my entire team, I make them write their goals down. I need to understand what their goals are. And I don't make my business, I don't expect for them to make their lives revolve around my business. So for example, like I want to know what their goals are. And then I dissect what their goals are, and I make them equivalent to what that's going to, how that's going to translate into what their sales goal needs to be here at the office. And then that way, when they attack their sales goal, they can expect this much in commissions or what have you, and then they can use that to build and fund whatever they've got going on. So I just changed my whys. Right now, it's all about my team. It's all about helping them get to where they want to be in life. And even deeper than that, my true whys are, I'll show you right here. I mean, I've got it right here. I basically, this is everything I care about in one photo, right? You've got everything I care about. I've taken this Word document. I've taken a bunch of Instagram photos of people and everyone that's important to me. You've got my nieces, you've got my lady, you've got, this is what's important to me. And so that's what I use to fuel me. And that's what, like Tony Robbins says, it's not that I don't have to push myself to my goals. My goals pull me towards them. So that's what drives me, man. I mean, my nieces don't really have a strong father figure in their lives, right? So I feel like that's my responsibility. Absolutely. Right. I want to be there for them. I want to help them whenever they give Uncle Nick a call, right? I don't have kids yet, but when I do, I'm already forecasting for that.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
My mom, right?
No, mom's probably pushing you, but take your time.
But my mom still works, man. I mean, I pay her handsomely to clean my offices, but she still works, and and I want to make sure that she doesn't have to worry about anything, like, ever. That's an easy one. And so just changing your whys, man. And my selfish ones, I mean, God, I can go on, man. Like, I just have so many things that I want to do in this life, man. And we're limited. So we're limited in time. And so, the older I get, I'm 32 now, the more I analyze how important every single day is. And it's crazy, man. So we've got a short amount of time to make a big impact.
That's right. And time moves fast, man. I'll tell you, 10 years, another 10 years is gonna fly just like that,
Just like that, absolutely.
So, and earlier you had mentioned, growing up, and I'm glad you brought your mother back up, and your family. How many siblings were there? How many siblings did you have?
So my dad has 9 kids.
Wow.
It has 9, and 4 of them are with my mom.
Okay.
And the other 5 are with my stepmom. And so yeah, lots of kids.
Yeah. Now I was just wondering if that drove, like, some of the competitive edge, that you have, even now, because you can feel it. Like I can hear it in your voice. Was that competitive, like having those siblings?
No, that's not where that's not where my competitiveness kind of came from, man. I don't, I think I always kind of felt like I was underestimated in high school. Like, I knew how great I wanted to be, but nobody else kind of saw it in high school.
Yeah.
And then in high school, right, like, everyone's so shallow, like nobody knows anything in high school, right?
That's right.
But not being athletic, but hanging around all the dudes that were athletic and basketball stars and football stars and things like that. And here I am, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really the freshest dude. Like, I don't have
Right.
money to spend on clothes. And I
And
think
like, hey,
that's where go ahead.
now I was gonna say now, like, hey, Nicholas, can you sponsor our reunion?
Yeah, can you, all this stuff. But I think that's where it came from, man. It's just kind of like just being underestimated and things like that. I think it just kind of all stacked. And then, yeah, man, I don't know where the competitiveness comes from, but I just don't want to be great, man. That's it.
Oh man, hey, you look, being the underdog is a part of it. I think that you have to, and you said it. You said others might not have seen how great I was, but I knew how great I was. I knew how great I could be, and
Yeah.
that's really where it starts, And once again, another lesson from Nicholas Sakha. Like he just keep dropping, them throughout the conversation, man. Like really. So you talked a little bit about the trips and being able to take care of your family, and I'm sure that at this stage, your mom is really proud of everything that you've accomplished, and your nieces, they really are looking up to you and looking at you as that example, and you have a beautiful lady, and everything's going well. How do you feel like, and maybe this is a part, maybe it's not. How do you feel like, having a license or has really impacted your life, and give a couple examples of that? I think we know, but
yeah. When something you said early on in this call is, on this podcast is the insurance industry being like kind of underestimated or like the best kept secret. And I firmly believe that, man. And I don't know how to say it. I just that license changed my life. If it wasn't for the insurance industry, I think there's so many different routes you can go with insurance. And for me, this was all the confidence boost that I needed to learn business, and at least a foundation of business, right? Because my name's on the door, right? And obviously this we own our books of business at Allstate, which is cool, because it's an asset that we can sell someday. But at the end of the day, the signage on the door, like, I didn't create the Good Hands logo, right? I didn't create the Good Hands logo. The system is their system, right? They're the ones that work everything out. So, but this gave me, but everything in this building, right, and all three of my offices is mine. Everything from the desks to the computer to that. And for anybody that's, I guess, wired like me, like you want to own a business someday, but you're just not quite sure how or where to start. By starting in the insurance industry and working for an agent, you're working for a small business owner. And so you get to learn just kind of firsthand. Like, I think working for an agent where I'm in total control of my compensation would have been a lot more impactful for me than working in banking. And working in banking, where it's like the hourly was decent, but the commission structure was okay. Mm-hmm. I think running a business is just sales on steroids with a lot more organization in a way. And without the license, none of this would have been possible. But I think no matter what license you get with the insurance industry, it'll give you an opportunity to take that first step into being exposed to all this stuff, especially if you work for a really good agent. And how will you know if you're working for a really good agent? Interview a bunch of them. Feel the vibe, do some research, try to get to know who you're going to be working with. And I think that can give you all the experience that you need to for whatever that next level is in your journey.
Absolutely.
like I've got a guy in here. I really love this guy. He's particularly new. You know, he's very talented in music. Like I firmly believe he can blow up as a rapper. And and him working with me, I want to see that happen.
Right.
I selfishly just want to say, like, I know that guy. You know what I mean? And he's
Yeah.
like actually like here in this particular office right now. I want to selfishly be like, I know that dude. You know, if I hear his music, I'm like, I know that guy. Like he worked with me, you know,
That's funny,
and
man. Like that's, my background before insurance is music. Go ahead. Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And I totally want to see him succeed. And I know that, you know, he prior to this, he was just working at Amazon,
Yeah.
making like maybe like 15 bucks an hour, maybe 30 bucks an hour, no opportunity for commission, no opportunity to control that income. And so when I coach him, I want to see that he maximizes our compensation structure and then to use these commissions to reinvest in whatever he wants to do. You
That's
know,
right.
maybe that's his music, maybe that's, you know, I don't know what that is and I don't know how long I'll have him, but I know that I'm going to give, as long as he gives me 100%, I'm going to give him 200% in return to help make whatever he wants to happen possible. And it all started with the insurance license. So,
That's right. That's right.
you
No,
know,
that's phenomenal, man. Like even okay, so now you've taken it to a different level, right? At first, it's the license changed my lifestyle, right? It helped me change my family's lifestyle, but really now it's allowing you to change others' lifestyle,
mm-hmm.
helping them to fuel and funnel resources into their dreams as well, right? Just adding value not only to the clients and customers, but also to your team members. And I tell you, man, it's really just encouraging and inspiring to hear. Let me ask you this. Just kind of
Watch this. It's way cheaper than a 4-year degree. It's way cheaper than a 4-year degree.
man, look, if someone had told me at 18, go get your insurance license, I don't know if I would have been mature enough to listen or not. But if someone said go get your insurance license and start your career, I might have a lot less student loans. I don't know.
Right. Man.
But no, not discouraging getting education. Like get the education, still give you a great, kind of foundation to start building on. But you're right, man. I mean, and what you get out of it, just going through that process, and that kind of leads me to what I wanted to ask you. I mean, we talked about resources and what has it kind of allowed you to do. I mean, how has it changed you as a person?
Man, sheesh. Okay, so how it's changed me as a person, I will say, I think running a business changed me more as a person than anything. And so I don't know why this is the first thing that comes to mind, but I always I I've always been broke, man. Like I've always been, just barely squeaking by. And part of it was for just paying for my education. I graduated college debt free, which is a blessing because I
Right.
made sure it took me 7.5 years, but I made sure to pay every semester as much of it as I could. And so that's why I delivered pizzas. That's why I constantly worked my face off so that way I could try to chip away at that and not have to go into debt for this stupid piece of paper. And so
Good move.
the biggest thing that changed in me when running a business was I was always so calculated because at the bank, I knew in my best year in 7 years of banking, I barely, in my 7th year of banking, I only made $47,000. And every year, and that was my best year. And that was my 7th year. And every other year, I mean, it was like pathetic, dude. Like I barely only made maybe 40,000, 37, 34, 36. And I was in a sales position where just I wasn't number one. I'm not even going to lie and say that I was top 10 or top 20, but I was certainly there were moments where I was top notch, but still the commission structure didn't allow me to do much. And so I always, I guess, lived each day with a scarcity mindset. And so some even family members and people that knew me, they would say that I was pretty frugal or cheap, right?
Right.
And that whole thing changed when I went into business, because like I really, for the first time in my life, tested, I really tested, if I'm being honest, giving way, just giving. And then, let me, and faith, right? Like, let me just
Yeah.
try this internet lead source. Let me try with this employee. Let me just, you know, give my mom this money. Let me give my dad this money. And, and
Yeah.
so that's when the game kind of changed for me, was this insurance opportunity, this business ownership opportunity. For the first time in my life, I really started to just put way more out. And as a result, so much more comes back in. It's crazy. And I never understood that at first. I never understood that. I was like, how? Because I'm so calculated. I'm like, if I give this person $400, like, how am I going to, you know what
Law
I'm
of
saying?
reciprocity, man. Law of
Yeah.
reciprocity. More you give, more you get, you know?
Yeah. So I
No,
think
very dope. Very
that's the
dope.
first thing that comes to mind.
No, awesome. So what's your goal now, man? I mean, you just, bought, your third book of business. You got, 3 offices. I mean, you've been massively successful already. What's the end goal look like for Nicholas Sakha?
From this stage, I want to continue scaling. I want to continue scaling and continue to grow to at least a $15 to $20 million agency. I want to help more people on my team make 6 figures plus. And that's what I want to do here at the team, within the agencies. I just want a high paid team. Like, I just want every single person in here to be winning.
Yeah.
But deeper than that, with things, I'm growing my YouTube brand. I'm trying to make a dent in that space and try to offer as much free value as possible. I may come out with, maybe I might come out with a product of some sort, maybe coaching, I don't know yet. And from there, I know that I want to do 2 other things. I want to become a huge real estate investor. I kind of want to use the funds from this to really dive into real estate, now moving forward. And I do want to publicly speak. I would love to publicly speak, and I'm getting that first opportunity in September, with my mentor is going to allow me to speak to like 800 people, 800 insurance agents. So I'm very pumped for that, and that's going to be something new for me. And I just that's something I definitely know God's calling me to do, is to speak to large organizations and try to inspire people somehow. So
Options.
Yeah.
Options. You got options, man.
Yeah. But
That's
real
the
estate,
thing.
and then I got a fitness brand, Barbells and Briefcases. We do a podcast, and we got some apparel. I love fitness and self-development. So, we may open up some big gym out here in Vegas. So if you're ever here for a conference in the future, I don't know when, I can't give you a date when, but I know at least in the next 10 years that we'll have some epic gym out here with a beautiful digital marketing studio where we're going to do a podcast and all sorts of cool stuff, man. So you have to come and hit up our gym and come and get interviewed and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I absolutely will do. Vegas, my wife and I, that's where we got married, in Vegas.
Okay.
That's right. We have a timeshare out there. So we're actually due for a trip to Vegas. So I'll definitely reach out.
We'll have to connect for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, man, the story that you shared has just been phenomenal. I feel like there's a book coming, in your future too.
Maybe. I never put that out in the universe yet, but I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to.
For those who are thinking about getting in this business, there's 2 pieces of information I want you to share. One, for those who are thinking about getting in this business, what last piece of advice would you have for them? If they're on the fence, maybe somebody had mentioned it to them and they're thinking, hey, I don't know if I want to do that or not, or maybe they saw an advertisement, or maybe, they saw one of your videos, and or maybe they are listening to this interview and they're just kind of on the fence on things. What would be, kind of your closing words to them about, stepping into this industry?
Yeah, get around the right people, and make sure you're working for working with or for the right people. If you go in and you go work within, go work for somebody else, make sure they're the right leader. If not, if you want to start your own thing, make sure you become the right leader, and seek mentorship. I would say that that's been huge for me. And above all, just be coachable. I think that's the biggest thing that's helped me, and that's something that I look for in all candidates and all people. Is if you know if somebody wants to be successful working with me, and I know that if I want to be successful, I've got to be coachable. So if I notice an area where I can improve in, or somebody notices an area where I can improve in, be open to that. I think that's such a huge characteristic that's kind of stuck with me, and that's something that my one of my mentors, something that he's always said is to be coachable, and that's one of the things that he's kind of commended me for, is how coachable I am. That when he gives me something, I go and I start attacking it. And so that's some of the same things that I expect from my team. And so if you're coachable, I really think that you can go far in this industry, or this industry could just be a great stepping stone for you into your next thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I love that. And if someone, let's say, someone's in Vegas, or, I know you're a San Diego native.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Someone's in California or wherever they are, they want to get in contact with you. They want to find out, more about, what you're doing. Maybe they want to get started in that area. I know you're always looking for great people, how can folks reach out to you? How can they get in contact with you on business? How can they get in contact with your content, get connected with that? I know we'll be sharing it, but how can they get connected with your content as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm looking at my name on this Zoom video, and it says my sales manager's my sales manager's name. So let me update that. So it's Nicholas Sakha. So last name is spelled Sakha. You'll find me on YouTube. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me as Nick Exclusive. And so on Instagram and TikTok, we put out a ton of content. If there's anything that I believe we specialize in, it's branding and social media, and using that to get referrals, and using that to build your business, using that to increase your sales. Something I'm pretty natural at, and something that we've done pretty well at. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well, Nicholas Sakha, but you'll mainly find me active on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Absolutely. Hey, look, man. Well, look, in the description, we'll make sure we have, links, and make sure you check out, Nicholas, and see what he's doing. I mean, it's phenomenal, where when you see people who are successful, success always leaves a trail. It always leaves a path. So anything that he's giving you is going to be something that's going to be beneficial. There's so many nuggets in this conversation that I think folks are going to be able to walk away from. And I appreciate you once again, just taking the time and really, sharing on this platform. We will certainly be promoting what you're doing on our platform as well. And for those who are listening, if you feel compelled, reach out to Nicholas. I know he'd be happy to hear from you and connect with you. And maybe heard something that made you think to yourself, maybe you should get a license. So until next time, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Rod.